I'd like to welcome everybody to the Candidates Forum. Tonight we're going to speak with the candidates who are involved in contested races in the April 2nd municipal election for the city of St. Mary. Thank you all for coming. I thank the candidates for offering to serve an elected office and for participating in tonight's event. I'd also like to thank the Country Music Associates for allowing us to use their facility this evening. This event is sponsored by the University of Missouri Extension, the St. Genevieve Community Access Television, which can be seen on cable channel 798 in St. John County and also on stgentv.com on the internet, and by the St. Genevieve Herald newspaper. A rebroadcast of this forum can be viewed in the coming days on channel 98 and also on the website stgentv.com. My name is Toby Carrig. I'm the editor of the St. Genevieve Herald, and I'll be serving as one of the panelists with Tish Johnson, the Community Program Director for the University of Missouri Extension. Again, tonight we're speaking with the candidates for the aldermanic seats in the city of St. Mary. In Ward 1, we have incumbent Frank Girardo. He is challenged by Mandy Knott, who is not able to be here tonight due to another commitment. In Ward 2, we have incumbent Dennis Beauvais and challenger Diana Smith. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening introductory statement, and that will be followed by the first question. They will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and at the end of the night, each candidate will have also a minute for a closing statement. I'll just let them know that we'll have a timer going so that we can kind of keep track of time. At about the 1 minute mark, I'll flip this up for a little warning, and then we'll have a bell that will give you another 10 seconds and then ring the bell. I also want to introduce tonight, we have 2 of the 4 candidates for the St. Genevieve R2 Board of Education are in the audience with us tonight. There are 4 candidates running for 2 seats on the board. And with us tonight, we have incumbent Terry McDaniel and Rick Rudolph. And they will have an opportunity to speak and answer questions during Thursday night's forum at St. Genevieve in the Patkey Room at the County Services Building, or the Extension Office, on 255 Market Street. So let's begin with Mr. Girardo with a 2 minute opening introductory statement.
Hi, my name is Frank Girardo. I'm running for another term as alderman. What I'm for is making sure that the city abides by all the rules, whether they're our own or the Constitution. And it's kind of difficult. I bring up items like, for example, we would always have on our agenda to have closed session when we weren't scheduled to have we didn't intend to have a closed session, and I would bring it up, and it took practically a year before finally a motion was made by another alderwoman to take that off, since we weren't going into executive closed session. Because I kept pointing out the Missouri state statute that says that we can't have it on there just in case we're going into closed session. And little by little, we're getting to do things right. We're supposed to be doing any positions by ordinance and salaries and everything, and we're starting to do that now. All I'm looking for is for us to follow the rules, be compliant, and the big thing is to let the citizens have input on what we're discussing, and not just to have a few minutes after it's already been decided and over with. I think community participation is vital, and that's the essence of it. That's all I have to say.
All right. To Diana next.
Ms. Smith, would you please? Same question. Opening statements.
Okay, thank you. I am Diana Smith, and I want to thank both of you for having this here tonight. It's helpful. I appreciate Mr. Carrick's time and Ms. Johnson's time, and also the Community Access Television for videotaping, providing that service for everyone. And thank all of those who came tonight. Appreciate the interest. I believe also that more citizens need to be involved in our city's business. This is, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. Without the people, we have no city. And people are important. And the attitude right now that I've run across in talking to people is, well, they will do what they want, so it doesn't make any difference what I say. And I think that needs to change. That attitude just needs to change, and I think we can do that. Meetings are for public information, and I believe that we need the transparency and accountability in government business, and that'll come with people asking questions. In order to do that, we need in order for people to come, we need public-friendly meetings where people feel safe to exercise their constitutional right of freedom of speech and to be able to redress the government if they have a grievance without fear of repercussions. We have a big project in place now. Having not been on, having that much information filtered down to the people about it, even though I've been to the meetings for the last 2 years, I really can't speak to it completely at this time, as others might be able to. But my question is, are we satisfied with the results of the last big project that we had? And how do we know that the problems that we ran into last time won't happen again? I don't want to see our people, our citizens in this town, taken advantage of. A budget is a budget, and according to the paper, our water rates are the highest in the county. And I don't think that raising taxes and more rates for services is going to benefit the people unless we first exhaust other avenues that need to be addressed. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Dennis Beauvais. I'm currently serving as Ward 2 Alderman for City of St. Mary. I have been in that position since 2006. I've been board president for 5 years. I've had board training. I went through Missouri Rural Waters training for boards. And board meetings are for conducting of business. If public has concerns, they should bring it to their alderman will bring it to the meeting, and then they will get back to them. That's the way it's supposed to work. Yes, we do have public forum, and if somebody does want to speak on a subject, they can apply to be put on the agenda. And when they're put on the agenda, they can speak about whatever they want to speak about. So, anyway, I have, since I've been in office, I have a lot of things done. As Diane had said, water project. I got a sewer project going on right now. I know a lot about it. I've went to training to be certified by the state to operate the wastewater plant in the distribution system that we have now. We're going to go to chlorination, and I know all about that. I've got it all set to go. I got a license to treat the water. So I've worked real hard for this city. I volunteer my time. Some people say, well, you get what you pay for, but I say it's the other way. It's rather to do volunteer work, doing what you want to do, than somebody to wait around for a paycheck every 2 weeks. So I think that we have plenty ample time for citizens to speak when they need to. All they have to do is go through their alderman. That's it. I'm sorry. I need to go over.
That's all right.
Let me ask you each, again, 1 minute on your responses to our questions. Let's go in the same order. Start with Frank and come down the row this way first. What would you like to accomplish most in your 2-year term? What would be the top priority for you in your 2-year term coming up?
got three of them. The most important issue to the people is quality, affordable drinking water. And that's the essence of it. We want to have water that we don't have to worry about its safety. And we've been having a lot of difficulties with coliform bacteria, and we did have E. coli samples come back twice, 2 samples once rather. And it's just a real concern for the people if the water's safe to drink or not. And that is the #1 priority that people are most concerned about, is the water rates and the affordability and the quality.
Ms. Smith, same question, please.
Okay, I also say the water quality and affordability of the water. And I'm going to also add, though, that I would like to see more involvement with the people. I think that people just are really tired of not being involved in it and not having a say. When there's things that go on many times at the meetings, I've been going to them for 2 years, I don't think I've missed one, and there's many times when I would just really like to have some clarification as to what's being said so that I can understand it, or whatever the case may be, but because of the ordinances that we have, we're not allowed to speak, to ask, have discussions. Now I notice that that is not done in every place that has board. Other places do allow it, and the people are treated respectfully, they're allowed their time, and I think that's something that I would like to see. I think that's almost at the ground level, is to get the people involved in it, and from there we'll begin to work more as a team, as the town as a team.
Mr. Bovee?
My biggest concern is all the negativeness in St. Mary at this time. Seems like one side's against the other, and nobody wants to pull together. I'd like to say one thing, that when a board makes the decision, that everybody supports it. Even though you're against it, it should be supported. That's the way boards work, and that's the way we pull together and make it one. Otherwise, you just got turmoil. You brought up the water rates and the water quality. For the last 6 months, the water has been testing good, okay? We did have problems in the beginning. As with anything that's brand new, you gotta work the bugs out. And it happens. I mean, we eliminated one thing at a time, and we finally got it hopefully squared away. But, in the same token, when we go to chlorination, that will solve everybody's problem. That just makes my job much easier. So, I just hope that we can all pull together and work together instead of having all this turmoil. That's all I care about.
Speaking of turmoil, we know that we've got a history of some dissent, if you will, among the Board of Aldermen and with the city government. What would you do? What responsibility would you take to help heal St. Mary and to help people work together? And I'd like to start with Ms. Smith and then go to Mr. Bovee and finally Mr. Gerardo. We're going to rotate like that.
Okay, thank you. Okay. First of all, we need to realize what's right and what's wrong. And just because there's some disagreement, it doesn't mean that everything is wrong. But we need to really push for what's right. In our society today, we don't have a very good black and white line of what's wrong and right, and I think that's where people are running into a problem. People want what they want, and they just, like the idea of everybody should agree. That's not how it's done anyway. We don't all agree, but it should be respected, and that there are disagreements. And I think asking questions is a good thing to do. I don't think we should just say, well, so-and-so says this is the way we should do it, and we should do it. I think we need to look at things a little bit closer, and perhaps when we're voting is vote our conscience and not what we think someone else might want us to vote.
Mr. Buffet. Mr. Buffet, what would you do to help the city?
Well, for one thing, I'm not 100% sure. It's been going on so long, I'm not sure. I just think that if the board, when it makes a decision, okay, even though you disagree with the way the board voted or whatever, if you're a member of that board, you should support it instead of going around and going against and trying to undermine the decision that was made or talking bad about this or that, okay? Because it doesn't do nothing but show negativeness. And it causes the community not to trust their board in making their decisions. So I know that checks and balances is good and that disagreement is going to come around, but once the decision is made, that decision should be supported by everybody on the board. Everybody. That's all I got to say.
Any question again?
What would you do to help heal the city and to help people work together more?
Well, I think the important thing is citizen input, finding out how people feel about things and allowing them to speak about it. Benjamin Franklin said that it's every citizen's right to question authority, and they should. And just because someone has a different opinion than the other three, that's democracy. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. They don't have to jump and go lockstep and say, okay, I'm going to go with it just because you guys are. I'm representing people and representing their views and standing up for what they want and how they choose for me to represent them.
And we're starting now with Mr. Frank's turn?
Mr. Beauvais.
Frank's turn, Frank's turn.
I got it.
My question is about kind of the negative perception that people have with the city, and that's been mentioned in the meetings by the mayor in the past. What steps would you take in your term as alderman to help turn that around and give the city a positive publicity or positive recognition?
That's a very good question. I'd have to spend some time to think about it, but right off the top of my head, I think that we need as a board altogether to be able to communicate. And once you communicate with one another and everybody's on the same page, then you can, then it'll be a better, less negativeness. But everybody should have a chance on the board to say what they want to say, but they should be able to agree in the end. And even if you don't agree, Frank's right, you have a right to disagree. But it doesn't matter if you disagree or not. Whatever the board says, it should be agreed. I mean, it should be supported, and not going around telling everybody that you're the only one against it and so on and so forth. And because it just shows that the board isn't together. And I mean, well, I said I could talk all night on that.
Can you pass that to Mr. Gerardo, please?
Any question again?
What would you do during your term to help create a positive perspective on the same area?
Well, from the board meetings that I've seen elsewhere, whether it's on the internet or in person, they're not conducted like they are here. And the public is treated respectfully. They're allowed input during work sessions, during regular sessions. When it's pertaining to a certain department and a citizen wants to raise their hand and ask a question, let them. It's their town. They have a right to say, how we're spending their tax dollars and how we're thinking and how we're doing things. If, you know, they have some input, we need to hear it and we need to be respectful of it. And whether it's 3-1 or 4-0, as long as everybody gets their own opinion and, you know, like I said, you know, if it's 3-1 and I represent people that I'm elected by and they're you know, they're happy with the way I'm voting, then I don't need to change my view and say, yeah, I'm going to go and agree with them because they think it's right, even though you don't and I don't, and all the other people I talk to, I have to hold my ground.
Same question, Ms. Smith?
Okay. How would I change or create, just go ahead.
A positive perception for the
A
city.
positive perception. As I said, I've been going there quite often, and I've had a very difficult time many times sitting quietly, which is required. Don't speak and don't raise your hand. Don't interfere. Don't be involved. And I want to see that change. I want to see people be involved in it. I've heard stories of things that happen, but I think that when you push people down and don't allow them to speak, you create that rebellion in them. We are adults and we have opinions, and I think that we should be allowed to voice them, and we should be treated respectfully and we should act respectfully. We're adults, we should know how to do that. And what I would like to do is to begin to let people be more involved. We probably will have to maybe take a look at these ordinances that have muzzled us, basically, and taken away our freedom, our constitutional right to speak. And we have to look at that. And like I said, having the experience of spending the last 2 years listening to these meetings, frustrated by the battle, I would like to see a change to a more positive look to it.
Sorry, I get so into what you're saying, I forget to come up with my new questions. The city recently hired a new city clerk, as you know, and it had an audit. And so I have a two-part question for you, but it's a short one. What is your experience with financial management and budgeting? And would you recommend any changes to how the city handles finances? What would you like to see differently? And we're going to start with Ms. Smith.
Okay. Not in the, I have not had experience with it that I can say in the, you know, such as the city has. We don't even actually get a copy of the budget. We just, you know, when it comes out, whenever they have a discussion of it. But I do know that I can't go to my neighbors and say, hey, I ran out of money this month. I need for you to give me some money. Well, I can't do that. And that's the down to earth, that's the grassroots. You can't do that. You have to live within your means. So we all out here have, I'm sure, experienced the fact that we need to cut back in some areas. Maybe, you know, we don't get to go have entertainment, or maybe we can't take a trip or something because we don't have the extra money. And I think that the city needs to look at that too, and we need to see where can we cut some expenses. They talked about the merit raises and how they were going to pay the new clerk at the last meeting. And I think that we possibly should look at that with all of our paid employees in the city.
Mr. Bovee?
Well, I spent 20 years in the Navy. I was an E6 when I retired. I spent a lot with the government, spending the government's money and budgeting up each department, each section in the department. And a budget is a budget. That's one thing we got to understand. We set a budget, we try to stay within that budget, but some things do come up. Some unforeseen things come up, and you have to readjust your budget. It's the way it always is in any government So even in a business, when you're running your own business, you budget, but sometimes you have to redo it. Even if at home, when you're doing your grocery list and all this other stuff, you budget. But a budget is a budget. And sometimes something comes up, furnace goes out, we got to go to chlorination, things come up that is not budgeted for, and you have to readjust your budget. Now, as far as cutting corners and stuff, I don't know exactly right now where we could do it, because we don't want to cut back on services. You don't want to, I'm sorry.
Now, the budget's the most important thing the board does. And every year, I'm always looking for ways to save money, finding a better way. I make suggestions, and I get, we tried that, it doesn't work, no. Occasionally, I'll get a few through that will get done. You know, I had suggested consolidating our trash pickup to one location instead of, it was 3 or 4, and switch to a different provider, or trash service rather, and we saved money there. Another was during the winter months to make one employee part-time, and we did that for a few years, and we saved money, and then that got reversed. And we need to rethink how we're spending every dollar. We don't need to look at what we're already doing. We need to look at what we need to do.
Mr. Gerardo just hit on things a little bit. The rest, others didn't so much. Let me give you each a chance to respond then about any particular steps you think can be taken in the budget in the future to find some cost savings for the city.
I've noticed how the city of St. Genevieve switched to Alliance Water, and I researched them and saw how they started at, I think it was in Columbia, Missouri, and they've grown, and they've got a very good reputation, and they're not just specifically water. If they need something done on the street or any other functions, if they needed to have the roads bladed, they would jump in and do that. And if we were to be able to work with a company similar to that, or that company that would say, well, we can do this and we want them part-time, they'd have the certification we need, and they're already in St. Genevieve, so they're nearby, they can come in and take care of it. That way we're not paying somebody to be there just in case, and we're just spending the tax dollars more wisely, and we're paying 100% of employees' health insurance and benefits. It'd be a big savings.
This is a big question for someone who has not have had a chance to sit on the board or actually have anything to do with the budget of the city. But you know, sometimes we have to cut things out, and I'm not saying cut corners, because cut corners indicates, you know, we're just doing some little things that you know, to get by. I'm talking about really taking a look at the expenses that we have and where we can take them out. Perhaps we know people all around. Businesses do it all the time. They're not making any money, or if they're losing money or whatever it is, we have layoffs. We have, you know, it's unfortunate for the people that are out of work, but you have to look at the whole picture. And we're a small town, and you know, I really don't know all the things yet that each individual does, but I'm sure that I will learn once I get in there, and I'm for that, to finding areas that we can. You hear the bell in your mind.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if anybody in this room can really realize what it costs to run a city, to what actually it costs to operate the wastewater plant, the distribution system, the streets, the park, the cemetery, and all those things, what it actually would cost to operate that, and the buyouts and mowing season and all this other stuff. Takes a lot of money when the city doesn't get much revenue, but we do the best we can with what we got. And where do we cut the corners? Well, first of all, we got to get a steady business going on. We can't pay for audits, we can't pay for court cases and stuff like this and keep spending money like that, and then be able to come up with a decent figure on how much it costs to run the city. Once that's all out of the way, then maybe we got a good year's worth of data. Maybe we can look at ways to cut corners. But right now, it's impossible. There's just too many things that's coming up and happening that we don't plan for. So.
Thank you. I was looking at the census data for St. Mary, and I don't think it'll surprise you to learn that wages or that housing value is lower than average, and wages are lower than average for the citizens. What would you do to build a stronger economy? What actions would you take to build a stronger economy for St. Mary, to make it a business-friendly climate? I want to start with Mr. Beauvais this time, and then we'll go to Mr. Gerardo and Ms. Smith.
Okay, well, the city of St. Mary is pretty much landlocked. Most of the stuff we got is buyouts. So I think the best thing we can do is support what we have and keep what we have running so that we don't lose everything. I think that's
Everything you mean?
well, like the store, the mall, everything. I mean, you know, keep what we have, Saberliner, Mary Cliff, the apartments up there, people that we need to support them and keep what we got going, and because no new business can have a place to build in St. Mary's. I mean, I'd like to bring in a whole bunch of business and have economic growth doing that way, but there's just no way with the floodplains and everything else. You just got nowhere to do it. So I say build up what we got and support what we got, car lot and things like that.
Mr. Gerardo?
Question?
What would you do to strengthen the St. Mary economy? What actions would you recommend, and to make it friendlier for business?
Well, I think the aesthetics, we need to make St. Mary look better when you drive through, make it look more appealing. I know the St. Mary Community Organization for Revitalization wanted to recreate Frisco Park, which St. Mary was well known for the flower gardens and the railroad, and we even won in the contest way back. I put in one of the issues of the Grapevine that it's important that we look appealing, and we don't look like a dump. We want to beautify St. Mary and attract people to St. Mary, and hopefully get in some more businesses. And also, we've, once a year, and I've been sponsoring it, where I would put the ad in the paper for the fourth Saturday of April for a community yard sale. So everybody can have a yard sale, get some extra money. And it's good for the people, but we need to get businesses in here as well.
You need a question again, Ms. Smith?
Okay. Yes, you wanted to know how we think we can attract
Actions that
businesses,
you can take.
actions you can take. I agree also with the aesthetics. There's many places where I know for a couple of years there's been some trucks in one place that just sit there and they're sinking into the ground, and other places where, I don't know, and they're on the main drag. There are homes that are falling apart that are, as they first come into town. I don't know the status of who owns them or any of that sort of thing, but maybe that could be looked at as something that could be taken care of. And when I came into St. Mary in 1996 and was built in the area that I built in, I was told, and perhaps it was incorrectly told, but I was told by the persons that were showing it to me that that area out there where I live is zone commercial, out there by the firehouse and Saberliner and that, and that there was more building. They had plans for people to build, and there's been a few homes built, and we just, I don't think there's anything been done in a couple of years now out there as far as that goes. So that was kind of something that I looked at when I moved in, that there's a possibility that there could be more out there. May I have any more time, or do I need to?
Sorry.
That's it, okay, that's fine. I'm just on a roll.
Yeah, you're all on hold. That's good. Back to my list. Ms. Smith.
Let me switch to a slightly different topic. There is a publication that is produced by a member of the Board of Aldermen. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It was mentioned recently here. It included a section, and I think one of the most recent issues, about disincorporation of a city. Do you believe that the city should move toward disincorporation, or should have some drastic service eliminations along those lines?
That's my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Not real familiar with disincorporation. What I have heard about it is that we, if I understand it correctly, we are not a city with our own government, but we are sort of absorbed into the county of St. Mary, where we are, where the expenses that we are now having and the budget and all that, that would be something that would be, things would be taken care of by the county, and our roads would be taken care of by the county, and other expenses like that we're struggling with right now, if my understanding of it is correct. I think I would look a little bit further into it, and I'd like to know what the people of the city think about that. Do they want to maintain that? The citizens of the city, not just the power structure of the city, but what do they want to do? Are they tired of the way things are going or not? And what would they like to do? Because that's who we represent as elected officials. We represent the people.
Okay, Mr. Barbee, please.
Disincorporation, can't do it. The county would send down a mediator, sell off everything the city of St. Mary has. If it wasn't enough to pay off all our loans and our bonds and everything that we got out, then it would be on the homeowners, every homeowner or landowner, to pay up the difference, because the county's not going to assume our debt. So if you're thinking about disincorporation, it's not a very good thing. Law enforcement would go away. It would take county come down here. There would be no local ordinances to be enforced. Be a pretty tough thing, I think. I don't think the citizens want that. I think they, especially the landowners, because if we don't have enough in assets to pay off our loans and bonds and all that good stuff, well, it comes off to on the landowners, and it has to be paid because the county cannot assume debt. That's all there is to it.
Well, disincorporation's been talked about for decades. And the upside it everybody looks at is, well, we wouldn't have ordinances, we wouldn't have city taxes, we wouldn't have all of these restrictions. And it'd be like if we lived in Ozora or Meneth. But there is a group of people that want to keep it as a city. And that's an issue that can be decided by the voters if a petition were to get, I think it's 50% of the voters to sign it, and then when it goes to the ballot and 60% or more approve it, then it gets passed. And as far as the debt goes, we have to pay the debt off, but the debt's on the water and sewer, and that would come out of our water and sewer rates like they are now. It wouldn't come out of the citizens' pockets directly.
A couple of times it's been mentioned about the water rates. Would you as a candidate advocate for reducing any fees or taxes paid by the residents to the city? And if so, how would you make up that income? And we'll go Gerardo Smith Beauvais.
Well, we're paying out more than we're bringing in. We need to flip that. We need to spend the money wiser. And like when I talked about, if we were to have a service take over water and sewer, and then our other things like cutting the grass and things, then we'd be paying them for the services and not paying for their health insurance and etc. So the city would be saving money, and the way the USDA grant is we have to have a 10% surplus. Once we go over 10%, we have to lower the rates. Well, to get there, right now we have 0% surplus, so I'm afraid we're looking at rates going up. I don't want to have to deal with it, but we're going to have to raise them unless some cuts in the budget and savings are made. Otherwise, it's just going to continue on and on, and that's it.
Perhaps very short, I'm going to say this, that it seems as though that we, the people that use the water, of course everybody in town, are being penalized because the rates are high. We've tried to cut back on how much we use, and it just becomes a vicious cycle that we're now not able to bring it in, and because we've tried to cut back and save ourselves money and live within our budget. So that's all I can say really about that. I'm not sure what would have to be done. I feel a little bit at a disadvantage because I have not been privy to this information that the board has. These two gentlemen already know. So thank you.
Well, I talked about it in the paper, how the rates were set. We're mandated by the bond agent to set the rates that we did in order so that we can pay back our bonds and loans that we have out on the water system. We can't seem to get stabilized because we got everything else coming up, things that we didn't foresee, like chlorination and stuff. And once we get everything started to be paid down, we do get something, then we can go back and review the rates and hopefully be able to bring them down. But right now, there's just no possible way to do it because that's what we were told we have to set them at. We didn't have a choice. And until we can get stabilized and have a good operating budget, there's not going to be any rate change.
Let me ask you, we're starting with, is it Dennis last time?
We are going with Ms. Smith,
Ms. Smith.
Mr. Beauvais, then Mr. George.
All right. What do you enjoy about living in St. Mary, and why do you want to serve the people as an alderman?
I enjoy the small town. I enjoy the quietness. It's basically a pretty quiet town. I'm very fortunate to live in a very nice neighborhood, and I'm thankful for that. I enjoy the people that I've gotten into the community and talked with have been very open and they feel very free to speak what they would like to see. And that's another reason why I really want to get in, because I thought I need to bring this to, try to get them encouraged to come, but if not, then to bring their concerns to the board and make this a town where the people are feel comfortable in the meetings and feel comfortable being a part of it, instead of there's this group here, they are there, and we are here, and never the two shall meet. I want that to change, and so I do enjoy being in this town. I like the fact that you can go, even though we don't have much to here, that we can, like shopping and that. If you need something, you're only 10 minutes away from surrounding communities.
Mr. Bobet?
I love St. Mary's. I've been here for a while now. I served on the board most of my time while I'm here. I've been through a lot of stuff. I enjoy doing what I do, and I try to do it to the best of my ability. I make myself available to all the citizens of this town. All my numbers are published. I'm out every day. I enjoy it. I think that I can do the best job because I do make myself available, and I do answer people's questions when they ask me, and I do it honestly. I make my decisions on the board. I make it for the whole town, not for the individual, not for a ward. I do it for the whole town because I care about it. I've been caring about it for a long time. That's why I keep running, because I don't want to see it go anywhere but up.
Question again?
What do you enjoy most about living in St. Mary, and why do you want to serve the people of North?
What I like the most about St. Mary is the people. And hearing, especially from the senior residents, how things used to be and how St. Mary at one time was bigger than St. Genevieve. And all the things that St. Mary had to offer, and then when the river changed its course and we ended up with the slough and the floods, and it just kind of went downhill from there. And I like I said, I belong to SCORE, and we want to revitalize St. Mary and bring it back, and bring back Frisco Gardens or something similar. I think that's what people want, is what is remembered from their parents and their parents' parents, the ones that have been here all their life. I've only been here since 2000, so I've been here 13 years, 14 years.
Keeping things civil, why should people vote for you? What do you offer that your opponent does not? Ms. Smith. Oh, wait a minute. Who answered the last one first? Make sure I didn't check this off.
He finished.
Right. Okay. Ms. Smith, and then.
Okay, your turn.
Sorry, I got a chart.
The first thing that comes to mind is integrity and honesty. I do believe that is, I know what's right and what's wrong. And my integrity is not up for sale. It's not going to be swayed, because I live my life by the Word of God. And that's how, I know that sounds funny to say in a political thing perhaps, but that's who I am, and I know who I am. So As far as what the rest of the question was, I forget.
Just why should people vote for you?
Why should they?
What are your strengths versus your opponents? Why should people vote for you?
Well, I don't think I'm gonna go into my opponents. I think that the people can make up their own mind of whatever their opinion is of Mr. Beauvais, and if they feel that he is the man to do the job, then they will vote for him. If they would like to, have something different, have something new, and feel like a part of the city. Like I said before, I keep saying that all the time, that we are the city, not a bunch of buildings, but the people. And that's where my focus is. As I said before, I'm a people-oriented person, and that's why I think that they would want to vote for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Why should people vote for you instead of your opponent?
My opponent
Because
isn't here.
she's not
but-
here.
I know. Well, I've got stick-to-itness. I don't cave. I stand my ground. I listen to the people and I represent them. Always have, always will. Simple as that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Beauvais?
Well, I have the experience, I have the training. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2006. I feel that when I'm on the board, that I represent the whole city, and I don't just say this one, that one, or this one. It's for the whole town, and I support my mayor. I support the rest of the board. Citizens rely on me to make the proper decisions to carry out city business, and I think I do that, and I think I do it well. Like I said, I leave myself open. I listen to what they have to say. I found everybody answers. Even when my opponent has asked me questions, I've always answered her truthfully and as completely as I can. I don't hide from nobody. I'm out there, and I think I'm the best person for the job.
This will be the final question of the night before we go to the closing statements. So try and keep the answers again as concise as possible. What is the biggest challenge of the next 2 years that you see for the city?
Well, for one, the sewer project that we got going to ultraviolet light and all that, coming into compliance with the DNR and EPA and all that. That's the biggest challenge in the first year or so, and getting all the bugs worked out. And we have a long road to go. I mean, we got areas that need to be taken care of, streets that need to be taken care of, and stuff like that. I think that the biggest challenge is to keep that uniformity on the board and to be able to make the proper decisions.
Okay. Mr. Martin?
Okay, question one.
Biggest challenge for the city in the next 2 years?
I say it's following the rules, whether it's our own ordinances, federal, state, constitution. It's not happening. And I want to see that happen, and I'm going to continue to push for it. And hopefully we'll get there. I'm not giving up. That's it.
I'm sure it's the budget is one thing that everybody, we've talked about that endlessly this evening. The new sewer project to be done correctly and come out the way it's supposed to come out with none of these glitches like we had in the water. I think people being involved with the city more, And to me, that's just very important. And so those are some things I think is getting people also to be more comfortable with city business. So, thank you.
All right, Mr. Boyd. Oh, he already answered that. I'm sorry, then we're going to start with Mr. Darno, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Gerardo, you get your closing statement.
Closing statement. Well, I know I'm considered the lone wolf when it comes to the board because in some cases I take a side that isn't in agreement with the other three. And, you know, I was raised with 4 sisters, and being the one is an environment I'm familiar with, so it doesn't bother me. People say, how can you take that? How do you keep putting up with that? And I say, well, I'm just doing my job and doing what I was elected to do. And I try to encourage people to come to the meetings, and 99% of the time I get the same answer. I don't want to get arrested. Because they want to come in and yell. They're mad about things, and they're not happy about things, and they're silenced, and they need to be heard. And I think that's the big issue, and I really want people to have a say in their town and how their money's being spent. And that's it. Thank you. And thanks for everybody hosting CMA and Herald and Public Access.
Is mine? Well, what I'm going to say is I'm going to ask that the registered voters of St. Mary let your voice be heard. If elected, you will be heard. If I'm elected, you will be heard, and you will be acknowledged, and you will be respected, because we are the people, are the city. And the first step for you being heard will be at the ballot box. So get out and vote. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to finish up with saying this much. They're talking about being all open for the meetings and everything. I remember when it was, when I was first on the board. We were called the laughing stock of St. Mary. The board was. Because you had everybody in town coming in there yelling and screaming, no control, no nothing. We'd be there for hours and still get no business conducted that needed to be conducted. We brought a mayor on board to get control of the meetings. And now we have control at our meetings, and we get to be able to conduct business as we should conduct it. So all this talk about freeness and not being able to talk or do what they need to do is, in my book, unruliness. They're talking about unruliness. Anybody can stand up and speak and say whatever they want to say. We'd be there all night. And I apologize if that's mean or whatever, but you do get 3 minutes at the end of the meeting to speak in public participation. And if you need to talk before that on a certain subject, you get on the agenda and you'll be allowed to speak your piece then. So if that's not being open enough, I'm sorry. But I want to reiterate the fact that I am available and open to all the citizens of this town. Not like not like certain people you call, you can't get a hold of them, you can't return. Thank you.
We'd like to thank all the candidates for coming out tonight and putting up with this torture. We know how much fun it is not, but it is appreciated that you answer the questions of the voters. And thank the CMA Hall, this wonderful historic site, for hosting us tonight. The video of tonight's presentation will be on St. Genevieve Community Access Television, sgtv.com. Probably in a couple of days. St. Gen TV, what did I say? SGTV, yeah. What Toby said, stgentv.com. Probably in a couple of days. We have another forum Thursday evening at 255 Market in the back of the building, and that will include our school board candidates, as well as a discussion of the sale of the tax issue for the fire equipment. So with that, Toby and I thank you, and we will see you soon.